heard or I read a really interesting quote the other day. Perseverance is not an individual pursuit. And that really made me have to think and think deeply. And I did for a long time. And I think there's some merit in that statement. I think of all the great achievements that I can think of kind of throughout history, whether it is in sporting endeavors like climbing Mount Everest or maybe even in business success. It rarely is truly ever done by just an individual. Climbing Mount Everest, for example, people rarely ever acknowledge the Sherpas that were alongside them carrying all of their kit until maybe just below the summit. And the same in business. Somebody obviously has to have the discipline, to have the self-accountability, to do the grind, the hard work, day after day after day, because no real success is overnight. So there is that element of self-discipline, for sure. But you also hear the statement that those 5 people closest around you is who you're going to become in 5 years. Now, that's often said as a kind of warning statement. But you can flip that on its head, and all of a sudden it becomes a very positive idea. That if you associate yourself or connect yourself with the 5 greatest people that you can get around you who are all truly exceptional in their own way, you cannot help but be lifted and to persevere many times through looking at their own success, reflecting on their accomplishments. Friendship is something that's very rarely ever discussed, I think. Relationships, a little bit, mainly that's to do with partners, occasionally between mothers, fathers, children, but very rarely is friendships ever discussed in depth. And yet I think it's integral to our lives and certainly to our success. A true friend is not the person who tells you what you want to hear. No, the true friend is the person who tells you the truth. When you're slacking, he or she will call you on that slacking off and make you accountable to yourself. And you know when they're right. So I guess what I'm saying is, who are those close 5 people around you? I know who they are around me, and I'm truly grateful and privileged to have them in my life. I don't need to say who they are, they know, because I've told them. Maybe reach out and tell your 5 people why you're so grateful that they're in your life, and reflect upon what they give to you, and maybe even reflect upon how much better you can still do if you push a little bit harder to reflect what they're doing. And if they're not doing great things, they're not the right 5 people to be in your life to begin with. And as I've said in other posts, and it sounds brutal, but there are times where you have to cut people out of your life because they do nothing but add negativity or negative vibes to your life. And your life is too precious to waste on any of that. So choose the 5 people that are closest around you very carefully. Go for greatness. And remember, maybe Perseverance is not an individual pursuit. And those self-made men and women were never quite so self-made at all. I'll guarantee every single one of them had somebody or somebodies behind them, pushing them, pulling them, picking them up, maybe kicking them in the backside when they needed to. But everybody has had somebody to help them along the way. Read some stories, listen to some stories, like I've done over the last few years, and see how many truly self-made people you can actually identify. It's very interesting. I think you'll find that there's very, very few. Be grateful for your friends.